Pat McAfee wasn't just jackassing around when he called out the Indianapolis Colts, and he did it in a very, very personal manner, both for players and for coaches. For the players, he talked about guys who had won absolutely nothing, not a zip, zero in their careers, referencing a captain at Syracuse and a captain with the Colts, Zaire Franklin, who has won, well, as much as I have sitting in this chair the last 2 years, 3 years, which is no awards yet, but we'll get to that. Well, the Colts responded, and they didn't respond in a very good way. Let's set the scene for you. Our friend Pat Mack went absolutely nuclear on the Colts after the Colts gave up 45 to arguably, well, I don't even think it's arguably, it is the worst team in the NFL in a must-win game for the Colts. It's the third year in a row my beloved Indianapolis Colts have the bed at a time when all they had to do was keep winning and the playoffs were right there. Actually, they needed a little help this year, but so what? The odds were going to shift into their favor. Well, they the bed, and next thing you know, Colts world isn't happy. And Pat Mack had this to say about the Colts.
A long time, the OGs that I referenced, I would like to see this team get good for them, but the players just have never won. This group of players has never won here. Haven't won the AFC South in 10 years. Haven't won the AFC. Think about how good the AFC South has been for the last 10 years. Great powerhouse.
Yeah.
Tough to win.
One of the best.
But all these guys not all these guys, most of these guys that are on this team have been here for the entirety of it. Chris Ballard, who I think is a good man, okay? He's a very good man, great hair, great accent. He always says, I trust our guys. I trust our guys. He's paid all these guys that have been here for a long time. They still have never won. And then, the whole thing starts happening with me pointing out the tapping out thing of a quarterback on a third down in a red zone in a game that you need to win. And he says, I was tired. That's all. And it's like inside voices don't need to say that. The fact that you think you could say that leads me to believe that you literally have no awareness of any repercussions of anything. There's no accountability anywhere.
That's the thing. And I don't care what team it is. Our guy Signetti. Now, people are mad at our guy Signetti right now in Indiana because he coached unlike he spoke, right? Against Notre Dame, Indiana football, fair catching, kickoffs, punting when they were in the other team, Notre Dame's area. Down 17. All right, people are mad at him, but here's what he did. When he got to Indiana, he did what smart coaches do. You can always lighten up, but you can't toughen up. Guy was late to practice, kicked him off team. Couple guys weren't running routes right, made him stop, made the whole team run. Next thing you know, it's an organized team. Next thing you know, it's a winning team. Next thing you know, it's a culture where guys know if I don't do what I am supposed to do, then I got a problem. And that problem could lead or be as extreme as being kicked off the team or having the entire team run. Or maybe I don't play, but they knew there was accountability. That's how good business is run, whether it's sports, whether it's those tall buildings you see downtown in your city, whether it's a school, a classroom, whatever. You must have organization. And here's the thing. Everybody in some way wants to be led. Everybody does. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player that I've ever seen, loved being led by Dean Smith in college, loved that needed to be led by Phil Jackson in the NBA. We all do. Doesn't matter how old you are. We all want somebody to lead us. Well, when you don't have that, you have losing, you have chaos, and you have, that's the universal sign for you to take a dump on yourself. So, because Pat McAfee has stature within the Colts organization as a terrific dynamic punter, really changed the punting game, made it stylish and cool for the brand as his brand, the Colts had to respond. Bob Kravitz, I don't know. I thought Bob Kravitz was dead. He used to write for the Star, complains all the time when he gets fired. But Kravitz asked Steichen, Shane Steichen, the boy wonder of Little Mina Kimes. Now remember, Shane Steichen came in last year, and everybody lost their mind. Oh, my God, he's coming from the Eagles. Oh, my God, he made Jalen Hurt's a great player. And then Steichen, last game of the year, last play, fourth down, had to get it, took his best offensive weapon, Jonathan Taylor, out. They threw a pass to a third stringer named Tyler Goodson. Tyler Goodson dropped it. Colts don't go to the playoffs. That was last year. This year, we know what happened. Got to win 2 to stay alive. 2-14 or whatever they were, the Giants. Got beat. Season over. So Steichen was asked by Kravitz, all right, what's going on here? Here's Steichen's answer.
Yeah, Shane, I don't know if you saw Pat McAfee's post-game tweet or if you were made aware of it, but he talked about players showing up late for treatment, for meetings. He wondered about the accountability. Is that true? Buck suggested that it was an issue at times throughout the season.
Yeah, I think with any team, right, not everyone's going to be on time every time, but there is accountability and guys are held to a standard. And that is talked about in-house. And I don't think that. And I think, with anything, I think Pat, he's a former alumni that wants to see the Colts do well. Just like all our fans want us to do well. And when the standard isn't, not getting in the playoffs, it's frustrating. So it's frustrating for a lot of people, myself included. And that's why we talk about the standard just being raised so we're not, in these situations.
Yeah, what a bullshit answer. No, not right. He said, every team has players late, right? No, I got to tell you something. Now, I got to Indiana basketball when Bob Knight had been there 8 years, I think. I think he got there in 72. I got there in 81, so maybe it was 9 years he had been there. The culture had been established. And I was there 16 years before I left, and I went to Bowling Green. In those 16 years, I never saw a player late. Maybe, well, I will tell you this, one time, and it was me. It was me and a couple players. We got absolutely snowed in at Christmas. We could not get from Gary, Indiana, Maryville, Indiana, to Bloomington, Indiana. We finally got there after being snowed in on the highway and everything else. It's the only time anybody was ever late, and I'd understood it. We had kept in constant phone contact about it. That was the only time. 16 years, 10 years at Bowling Green. I had one guy late. It was early. I kicked him off. Never had another guy late. Louis Orr took over at Bowling Green when I left and said, this is the perfect program. Everybody goes to class. Everybody's on time for everything. In fact, I had a thing where if you did not have class, you needed to be in the locker room an hour before practice. Why? Because there was always something to do. You could get your ankles taped. You could get your academics done. You could get on the court. You can go shoot. You can work out. Get there an hour before. Well, guess what? Shane Steichen's answer is complete bullshit. And the fact, and this is the bigger issue, the fact that you even have to bring that up, the fact that it is so big that you bring that up. Think about this. I've got a lot of guys here. Dylan, maybe he's a Titans fan, maybe Nick are New York fans. I don't know. But I want you to think about this. When's the last time that has ever been brought up? I don't remember it. Usually what happens is a new coach comes in, like Steichen did for Tom Allen, and he's got to clean things up. And sometimes that coach will say it publicly that he had to do it. Most times, coaches won't. Most times coaches will just do it out of respect for the previous coach. But this has been amazing, and they took on the wrong guy in Pat McAfee. Zaire Franklin, E.J. Speed, the linebackers, have a podcast, and they're really stupid guys, and they've been exposed as stupid. And that's hard for me to say because I really think that NFL guys are smart. I've always said the bucket for NFL guys starts here, and it's like a funnel, and it ends up about this wide. And people eliminate themselves with their own stupidity as much as anything else. Well, Franklin and Speed didn't eliminate themselves. In fact, Franklin has been a captain, but they took on the wrong guy. And Shane Steichen, Dan, what should he have said? I'll tell you exactly what he should have said. It's none of Pat McAfee or anybody else's business. This is something we handle here. Our guys don't show up late to nothing. And in the oft occasion that they do, they're disciplined hard, they're disciplined, and I don't like the inference that we run a soft program. Now, he's totally would be lying through his teeth, but so what? Now you look at the Colts, and it's like, yeah, the coach says, yeah, everybody's late, yeah. Nobody looks at Steichen now that, wow, he's really being honest. Now, you got to remember, Steichen is of the ilk of our friend, Mina Kimes, who thinks it's wild that people here in Indy, particularly people like myself that have played and coached at a pretty high level, weren't all that, quote, impressed with Steichen. There's nothing to be impressed about. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a family guy, but isn't that what you're supposed to be? But as a coach, there's absolutely zero to be impressed with. The quarterback hasn't improved. The quarterback apparently, and I called this way back before anybody because I got people in the Colts organization, was acting like a child. It was out there for the public. He's doing flips as he's coming onto the practice field, laughing, joking around. I got to tell you, I said this at the end of the show yesterday, when you come on the practice field of any organized, tough-ass coach, once you get across the white lines and once you get on the court in basketball or between the white lines in baseball, it's serious business. Let's go to work. But that's not how this clown, this Anthony Richardson, acted. And next thing you know, he's got to be benched. Next thing you know, he's opting out of games, or he's sore, he's tired, he's got back spasms, whatever the hell the case is. It's not a professionally run team. It's amateur hour. And it's amateur hour because the general manager, and this is the same thing in your city. If your city is losing, I guarantee you this is the same thing. Your general manager allows it. See, our general manager, Chris Ballard, came in and he was going to change the entire dynamic of football. Instead of win at all costs, it was going to be relationships. It was going to be social media, social justice. We're going to get out in the community and we're going to be the good guy. That's great. That's wonderful. But you got to win because it's the NFL. And that's all that matters. Now, I'm going to say it again. You got to win because it's the NFL, and that is all that matters. I'm trying to find a thing here, and this goes to your town too. This isn't just Indianapolis. Chris Ballard has never won a division. Chris Ballard has a losing record. Chris Ballard has never won the division. I just said that, but let me slow it down for you. The AFC South is the division, the worst division in football. Never won it. Never. Has a losing record in 8 years. Nice guy, great family guy. But I want you to think about that for just a second. 5 head coaches. 5, not 4, not 3, not 2, not 1, 5. 12 quarterbacks. Culture mess. But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is no accountability. If your team is losing and they have talent, I guarantee you it is because of no accountability. It's because a coach tried to be buddies with the team, or the assistants did, or somebody did, as opposed to be the coach. If you want to know why even kids get in trouble that have dads, because the dad and mom are trying to be buddies. My little buddy. Oh, where's my little buddy? Oh, shut up. Little buddy, get your ass over here. No, it's amazing to me. And this is your city too. Like, how about yesterday? Speaking of the NFL, Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, we're getting our ass beat. Why don't you go ahead and put Tyrod Taylor in? How about that? That's what happens when you let players from the start dictate policy. And that's exactly what the Jets did. They let Aaron Rodgers dictate policy. You don't let players, I don't give a damn if they're 40 years old and they're Aaron Rodgers, or they're 22 years old and they're Anthony Richardson. You never, ever let players dictate policy. And remember this, players don't become human beings until 5 years after they're done playing. Then they look around and everybody's gone and they're like, what the hell? No one's kissing my ass anymore. Just remember those things. Argue amongst yourself if you would like. This is interesting because this is going to get sexy. Florida State's head basketball coach, Leonard Hamilton, is somewhat of a legend in the world of college basketball. He resurrected from the dead. He was kind of seen as a cheater, but I've gotten to know Leonard Hamilton, and I feel like he's anything but. I don't know what he did at Kentucky. We all at Indiana thought everybody at Kentucky was cheating every day of the year, but I really like and I very much respect Leonard Hamilton. He's old school because he's old, but he's the best looking like 80-year-old dude in America. And every time I see him, I'm like, what the hell? He's got a little bit of a problem. Apparently last year before Florida State played Duke, 6 of the players were angry because they did not get NIL money totaling up to $1.5 million, and they staged a walkout. Now, as happens in the world of everything, it got litigious. What does that mean? Well, it means the players are suing his ass and suing Florida State for lack of payment of $1.5 million. It's groundbreaking, really. Think about it. I don't think we've seen this. We've seen a player leave a place. The UNLV quarterback left because he said he didn't get paid. I guarantee you there's a lawsuit coming from that kid. We've seen a high-end quarterback leave, I believe it was Florida, because it was apparent to him that they were going to renege on a multi-million-dollar NIL deal. But I don't think we've seen I don't think we've seen a lawsuit until now. 6 players, Florida State basketball, suing the legend. The NIL era strikes again. Here it is. The complaint filed in Leon County, according to Yahoo Sports, alleges that Leonard Hamilton promised players Darren Green Jr., Ron Fletcher, Jalen Worley, DeAndre Green, and Josh Nickelberry that they would receive $250,000 from the coach's business partners to play from the Seminoles. The complaint says the Florida State players boycotted one practice before the Seminoles played Duke last year, February 17th. The claim says the players walked out of the gym during practice in an attempt to show how upset they were over the NIL promises not being fulfilled, which would have led them to boycotting the game. In the suit, the players claimed that Hamilton gathered the players after finding out the entails of potentially boycotting the game and promised the players that the money would be delivered by the following week. How dirty is this business? I mean, think about this. Think about college athletics. Is this good for Florida State? Is this good for the game of basketball? Of course it's not. And this is where I have a problem. If it's not good for basketball, if it's hurting basketball, it's hurting Florida State, that's where you got to do something about this. This is unbelievable. In messages that were submitted in the complaint, multiple players noted that they needed the money to pay their taxes, car notes, and even rent. Although, of course, they're still on scholarship. There are also messages where the players complained to Will Cowan that the entire situation is bothering them mentally. Damn right. Players are looking to the court to award them with $250 each, along with exemplary and punitive damages. Attorney Darren Heitner, who is representing the players, wrote on social media that he hopes people will learn from the suit not to take advantage of players with NIL. This is where, Dakich, you're always complaining and reporting. What's the solution? It's simple. Give everybody contracts. Just make this a contractual agreement. If you got to make them union members to give them contracts, then make them union members. I don't care. But this is dirty business, man. This is old school. This is backroom double dealings being exposed as legal in college basketball. Back in the day, players were promised stuff and maybe delivered, maybe not. Players didn't really feel they had a recourse. What are you going to do? You're going to boycott when nobody cares? You can do whatever you want. Racially, some players boycotted back in the 70s. I remember Michigan State doing that, but I've never really heard ever player boycotting or players boycotting because of lack of payment. Wow. It's not good for college basketball. It's not good for college athletics. And my thing is this: pay players all you want. But once it gets bad for the sport and once it gets bad for the school, screw them. That's how I look at it. Screw that. I mean, we got to protect the sport. You got to protect the school. We're the only nation that doesn't care about these billion-dollar industries that we have, like an Indiana University, like a Purdue University, like a name the school, insert school. We don't care about the school. We don't care about the billion-dollar industry. We got to cater to 18 to 23-year-olds. Get out of here with that. Simply get out of here. Here's another solution. Move all these guys that want to get paid, start the G League, let them go play there. And away we go. Man, this is dirty business. We're going to keep track of this. And I will tell you something else. There are going to be others, I guarantee it, that start suing their school for whatever the reason. He got more than me. I didn't get enough. He promised me. I didn't get this. I'm telling you it's coming. You watch. Once six guys goes forward with it, that's a dam breaking open. See what I did there? Water coming through. It'll happen. It always does. Oh, man. All right, and now for the good side of NIL. Remember this? It's been forgotten a little bit. Arizona State is actually going to play a football game in the college football playoff. Kenny Dillingham's team will get ready, and they will play coming up. I think it's tomorrow or it's New Year's Day. I think it's New Year's Day. We've kind of forgotten, right? It seems like even the Indiana Notre Dame game was a long time ago, but Sam Levitt, the quarterback of Arizona State just put himself in the good graces of his offensive lineman forever ahead of his team's matchup against Texas. Listen to this one. This is good. By scoring them an unlimited supply of Arby's, I'm calling bullshit. I'm just, you do you, let me do me. I'm calling, this ain't happening. While all the NFL quarterbacks were showering their offensive linemen with expensive luxury gifts for Christmas, Arizona State Sam Levitt was getting his guys something they could really use: an unlimited supply of Arby's. The fast food chain signed NIL deals with 8 ASU offensive linemen, thanks to some urging from their redshirt freshman quarterback. The group includes Leah Faduman, Ben Coleman, Max Ian Anchor, Josh Atkins, Emmett Bohio, Cade Briggs, Sam Na, and Maku Rule. The deal happened after Arby's announced it's their Theismann Award, the honor presented by legendary quarterback Joe Theismann, friend of the show, by the way, recognizing the outstanding performance of a college lineman. So Levitt reached out to Arby's to nominate his entire O-line for the award. But Levitt is giving his teams more than just roast beef sandwiches and curly fries. Earlier this month, Levitt announced that all sales from his merchandise were being redirected to ASU's NIL collective, the Sun Angel Collective, so that other athletes could get a cut in the profits. We don't make the playoffs without our offensive line, said Levitt. These guys bring it every week so that our entire offense can be successful. When I heard about Arby's program, I reached out to nominate my guys at Theismann honors. They power the game every week and deserve to be recognized. Very nice. Now, I read somewhere they get Arby's for life. It doesn't say that in there, but I did read that somewhere. That's where I was calling on that one. Nobody's giving out anything for life. There's a great story of a guy who spent $500,000 to ride, I believe it was Delta, for the rest of his life. And what he has done with that $500,000 is basically turn it into worldwide travel and lifetime of trips, and he gets the points and the miles, and it's all kind of different stuff. I don't think people are giving away stuff for life anymore, but you never know. Hey now, I'm tired of Anthony Edwards. I'm just tired of him. You know, Anthony Edwards had a couple good games, flamed out at Georgia, got Tom Crean fired. You know, he's in Minnesota, and he's a pain in the, he's a child. He's just a child that acts like a child. Had a couple good games, got some commercials, probably the old Sprite commercial, and away you went. He is starting to rack up monumental amounts of fines by being a jackass. Now, that's what he's being. He's being an immature, entitled little jackass who's won nothing. Nobody loves to swear and rack up fines. This is Nick and Nick writing this. This is good. More than Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards, as the NBA has slapped the T-Wolves star with a $100,000 fine after his latest post-game presser after downing the Rockets with a buzzer-beating 3. Here's Anthony Edwards.
Right now, and how good is this feeling to come away with the win?
Oh, my God. I don't know. Shout out to my teammates, man. Couldn't have did it without them, man. Julius, Dante, and Kill. Nas came through in the clutch. Jaden, everybody, man. Shout out to everybody.
You were down 16 points with under 5 minutes to go.
Hey, we made it happen. We got some stops. We made some big shots, and, we made a big shot at the end right there.
Well, take us through that big shot at the end.
All I knew was the play was for Drew to go 14, small pick and roll. Once he picked it up, I mean, who else? I got to go get it. Shit. And Kill found me. He cut me off. I'm like, shit, I'm going for the win. Like Gilbert Arenas said, I don't do overtime, so fuck it.
And big defensive.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, how stupid do you have to be? No, seriously, how stupid do you have to be? And he's plenty stupid. I mean, it's obvious that he's not smart enough to be interviewed after a game. It's obvious he's a complete moron. I mean, you're on national TV, or at least local TV, and here you are acting like a dumbass. Now, I want to say that again, and I want to say that very loudly, and to quote Stephen A. Smith, I'm not stuttering. That's the biggest dumbass I have ever heard coming out of the NBA, nonviolent crime division, non-theft division, non-wife beating division, just dumbass. You're on national TV. Like on our broadcast, you can say those things. On streaming, of course you can say those things. But when you are on regional or Bally's or Fox or whatever the hell they call it now, NBA TV, TNT, TBS, CBS, whatever the hell, it just shows you're a moron. It just shows you have no education. It shows that you're just flat stupid. And the more you watch of Anthony Edwards, the more you're impressed by his basketball ability. Great smile, charisma. But he's a dumbass. No, he's legitimately stupid. Because people have said very publicly, I think Charles Barkley, Kenny, and Shaq and Ernie said, it's getting tiresome watching these idiots confirm to all of us that they are idiots by dropping F-bombs, all kind of different stuff on national TV. Now, I'm sure they're down with their boys. I'm sure they're down with their crew, their posse, whatever they want to call them. I'm sure that makes them a star, but it makes them an idiot. And if you really want to go back, and this is like a body shot, certainly not a knockout blow, but if you want to know why the NBA is unlikable, that's part of it. I don't care if you're black or white or Christian or not. You watch that and you go, oh, that's pretty funny, but he's an idiot. And it continues to happen. So Edwards is one of the brightest young stars in the league, and he has a knack for dropping random profanities. It's third time this month he's been fined for using profanity. He's paid a $25,000 fine for using profanity during a locker room interview December 6th, $75,000 December 23rd for public criticism of officiating using inappropriate and profane language. On the last two, Joe Dumars is one of the classiest guys to ever play an NBA game, or actually to ever walk the face of the earth. The NBA executive vice president, head of basketball operations, cited Edwards' history of using profane language during media interviews for the unusually high fine. $100,000, a lot of money. Edwards was also fined $35,000 for making an obscene gesture on the court. Before that, his only other profanity-related fine was 2022, when he paid $40,000 for using offensive language on social media. By comparison, the NBA fined Edwards $50,000 in 2023 for recklessly swinging a chair in frustration that struck two bystanders as he left the court in a playoff game. So a stiff $100,000 fine for language shows the NBA wants to send him a message. When you're young, dumb, and full of cum, you just act like an idiot. And he's an idiot. I mean, all these things add up to one thing. He's an idiot. I keep saying the same word because I don't know another word for it. He's just an idiot. And he's going to hopefully not be. Hopefully he's going to make enough money, live happily ever after. But you keep doing this stupid stuff, you're going to end up broke. People say $50,000's nothing to him. Yeah, add it all up. And it probably ain't stopping. They'll throw in on top of that taxes. And then, what Isaiah Thomas always told me, 52% of your money's gone before you buy a car or a house. And next thing you know, you're giving $100,000 here, $50,000 there, $70,000 here, $25,000 there. It adds up. A nice kid. In fact, Anthony Edwards has a chance to be the next superstar in this league. You remember Michael Jordan doing that stuff? Not really. You remember Isaiah? Nope. Magic? Nope. Bird? Nope. LeBron? Not really. Kobe? Nope. I mean, maybe in the heat of a game. I mean, who cares about that? But we're talking about all this stupid stuff is after the game, swinging chairs. What are you, nuts? So anyway, I always go back to the legends. That's why I said about Anthony Richardson doing flips as he comes on the practice field. You ever see Peyton do that? I'm not sure Lamar Jackson does that. I'm not sure Tom Brady did that. If you're going to be great, you got to compare it to the greats. All right. Leave it to the brain-dead woke gas bags of CBS News. Oh, boy, are they ever, to finally admit what the general American public has known all along. A veteran reporter, Jan Crawford, went on record to state that the most underreported story of 2024 was Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline. Really? No kidding, huh? I'll be damned. Well, folks, if you've been an avid OutKick listener, you've known it. We've talked about it the entire year. We've been saying this for years. Here it is on CBS News.
One of the things we also do in the year-end correspondence roundtable is dig into what was undercovered or underreported. Jan?
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate.
At the presidential debate with Donald Trump. Unquestioned.
And, it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years, and yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years, which could have led to a primary for the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election. Yet, still, incredibly, we read in the Washington Post that his advisors are saying that he regrets that he dropped out of the race. That he thinks he could have beaten Trump. And I think that is either delusional or they're gaslighting.
President
American
Biden
people.
has said repeatedly he was sick during the debate June 27th in Atlanta, and he's always been fine, and he leaves fine. That is his position, the position of many of his top aides as well, even though there is that reporting.
Robert Costa.
The Journal interview.
Why do we even have shows like that anymore? I mean, the white stiff guy is sitting there going, oh, man. I guarantee you the guy who spoke last said this in his own mind, oh, crap. I said many times, whoever this guy is, I said many times that Biden was okay. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be part of a cover-up. So I'm going to get it on the record here on whatever show, idiot show, Face the Nation or whatever that was. I'm going to get it on record that his advisor said it. He said it. Make sure everybody gets distracted to that. But the truth of the matter is, we all knew. I mean, if you didn't know, you weren't paying attention. I mean, all you had to do was watch the guy walk out there when he can't move his hands and stumble and mumble and fumble through his words. He can say he was sick during the debate. Good. If you remember the debate, he was 12 days at home. I believe 9 of those days were in preparation for the debate. And he came out looking whiter than me, although I look pretty good right now with a tan. I'm looking dapper right now with a tan. I'm not going to lie to you. But long story short, he literally looked like a dead man, spoke like a dead man, acted before and after like a dead man. I don't know what to tell you. This is the biggest cover-up, but it's not being covered. This is a way bigger cover-up than Watergate, much bigger. I mean, all 4 or 5 idiots did was break into the DNC and take nothing. This here is the movie Dave. In the movie David Klein, I think is his name is, Klein. He went to Indiana. He's the president. He dies. Guy who looks exactly like him, a.k.a. a doppelganger, assumes the presidency, and he's a much better president than the president. This is like that. We had a vegetable shuffling around. I had a friend, that worked in the White House that said they had to move all the cables because the president can't lift his feet. There's all kind of cables in the White House. People tripping all the time, but when the president, they had to get his path through the West Wing and other places because, frankly, he couldn't lift his feet. Not great. Not great at all. No, it's the biggest scandal of our generation. You won't hear anything about it because clowns like those clowns are going to sit there and try to protect one another from lawsuits, from legal consequences. Pretty funny, actually. UConn football coach, I'm digging you, Jim Mora. I'm digging you. I digged your dad when he said playoffs. 27-14, UConn got it done over North Carolina in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, which is actually pretty cool. He's not messing around, and he is threatening other schools that are coming in to poach his players. He's also happy he's got UConn to a point where he's got players to poach. Think about that. Good for Jim Mora. Here's what he had to say. A simple note to the schools and coaches that have blatantly broken NCAA football rules by tampering with our players in the last 24 hours. We do know who you are. We will pursue all areas to hold you accountable. We are excited that we have built a program where coaches have to cheat to beat us, and we will protect that program. Think hard before you tamper with our players. That's right. That's right. Hashtag just getting started. I don't know whether they're just getting started or not, but I do know this. It would piss me off to no end, and I'd want to fight somebody. Coaches tampering with my players. Why? What do you think? I got a wife. I got kids. I got mouths to feed, a family to take care of, and some jackass hipster doofus from some other school is going to come in and bullshit one of my players into making a bad decision and leaving a good spot. What are you, nuts? What are you, crazy? No, I'd be hostile. I would be absolutely drop dead. I want to put up my dukes, as they used to say back in the day, and fight somebody. But here's the question. I sent this to a buddy of mine, an assistant football coach. I said, okay, what are the areas that he can pursue with the NCAA? And the response came back. I would show it to you, but I got his name on the text. I got no idea. We're all under the assumption there are no NCAA football rules. And that's sad. Again, what do I say? I tell you this all the time. This is bad for the sport. And once it gets bad for the sport, screw the 18 to 23-year-old. Screw his feelings, screw his payment, screw that. You got a scholarship, fine. You got a stipend, fine. But you got to put in parameters that are going to protect the school and the sport. I mean, I don't know if you've been on UConn's campus. I don't know if you've been on Indiana's campus, Michigan State, Purdue, wherever, UCLA, but these are mega campuses. These are billion-dollar schools that charge a ton of money for kids to go to them. And guess what? The football program is basically the front door to those schools. And you're letting the football program damage the school, the sport, because you're paying 18 to 23-year-olds? Think about the logic of that. So UConn, because we don't want any rules, gets a football program rolling. But because there are no rules, other teams can come in and do whatever the hell they want. You think that's good for UConn, the school? Now, if you do, you don't understand the value of a Sweet 16 to a school or a good football program to a school. How is it good for the school? Admissions through the roof. And guess what? When you have more admissions, particularly out-of-state admissions, you got more money. When Valparaiso famously 25 years ago went on a run, Bryce Drew hit a shot, beat Mississippi, ended up in the Sweet 16, their enrollment tripled. Their enrollment requests more than tripled. Tripled is too much on the enrollment. I'm wrong about that. But now, last time I went to Valpo, which was last year to watch Illinois State play Valpo, I grew up by there. People were telling me, yeah, this is all from our NCAA. These new facilities, we've blocked off the school. We've bought land next to it. It used to be a great restaurant called Broadway Cafe. We brought that. We're expanding the school. This is all remnants of 20 years ago going to the NCAA Sweet 16 and the money that was made not only from the run, but from enrollment increase, out-of-state tuition bumps. But we don't care. We want to make sure that an 18 to 23-year-old has a Lamborghini. It's the most ridiculous shit I have ever heard. All right, Charles Davis is going to join. I can't wait. I got to talk to him. We've got double-digit favorites. We've got Penn State minus 11. Texas 13.5. What's his take? You know Charles from both the NFL and college football. What's his take on what's going on in both? Next.